Three things your mind and body need. Now, if you saw my last video, how to get faster, stronger, quickly, I want to build upon it, especially when it comes to, well, the recovery period. So this is for you guys. So the first thing I want to talk about is the importance of water. Now, in the last video, I talked about adding cardio and doing a hybrid type of workout, speeding up the heart rate, so on and so forth, pushing it closer to anaerobic than aerobic, right? But mixing the two because it'll dip in between going from, let's say, a full-blown sprint and then sitting down on a bench to do a bench press. Yes, your heart will still be pumping, but it'll eventually learn how to slow down as well because the output of energy is different because of the pace in which you are moving during the repetition. When you're running quickly or sprinting, and the movements are faster, and so are the twitches within the muscle, which means it needs blood and oxygen a lot faster than normal. When you're on the bench press, that slows down. However, it still needs more oxygen in order to restrict from, well, let's say cramping, because then you have this stuff that appears, which creates, it's like an emergency fluid. And I learned this from the Magic School Bus, but it's true, that comes out and gets exerted, and then your muscles start to cramp if you're not fully hydrated. So remember that, take an electrolyte little packet, throw it into your freaking thing. They're not that expensive. If you like brands, I think Propel is like $4 for 10 packs of electrolytes, so on and so forth. And you put that in your water bottle, drink it, preferably before you go to sleep, not during the day because you'll just pee it out and your body won't fully process it, but before you go to sleep, and then you'll have that for your workout the next day, and you'll have the minerals that you need during your energy output. Now, let's go into the benefits of certain supplements. So in the last video, I mentioned garlic, and hopefully you have been utilizing AI in the era that we live in order to, well, not only understand that garlic is good for you and get that information faster, but to do fact checking and to get, well, published sources from the internet, because both Google Gemini and ChatGPT have the ability to connect to the web to provide you sources to prove this, so you can learn and do research for yourself and then process that until I give you the next video, because I spoke about learning and processing in another video, just to see if you guys have been watching. So let's move forward. Another supplement I want to talk about is vitamin D. Vitamin D, a lot of people from ethnic backgrounds normally have low vitamin D. Now, one of the correlations that I have seen is when people's vitamin D gets too low, they tend to have a dip in energy, right? And not just energy output or wanting to do things, but sometimes I see like they'll be sad or depressed and you want to like double check, so on and so forth. And it's like, why are you crying? I don't know. And then all of a sudden they're like, I have a depression issue, when really their vitamin D was low because they work indoors, stay indoors, live indoors, go from indoors to their car to go outside for less than 2-3 minutes or a 30-second walk to go back indoors to some store, restaurant, whatever the case may be. And the cycle continues, so they're not actually experiencing direct sunlight. So you can take that supplement and research all the benefits that comes with that. Now, for those of you that have some type of anxiety, I learned this from someone from Germany. And I learned this and I got it verified through a doctor in North Carolina, but magnesium will help people when they have, let's say, anxiety or so on and so forth, or different types of magnesium will have different benefits. So I would look into, well, what you think would be best suited for you, especially after talking to, let's say, a doctor and doing some blood work where they tell you where you're deficient in when it comes to the supplements that I'm giving you. Now, garlic probably won't be on there, but they could tell you all the benefits of garlic because it's in their medical books. So the last two that I want to talk about before I get into my last point, is turmeric and cayenne pepper. Both are extremely efficient, and believe it or not, cayenne pepper back in the day could actually cauterize a wound. And if you don't know what that means, it means that it will assist in the process of not, I don't want to say the word coagulating, but creating, stopping bleeding, so on and so forth, right? So it will create like a scab, so on and so forth. It will also absorb whatever blood was coming out. Thing is, it burns a lot. Wouldn't suggest it, but it, in case of an emergency, there you go. However, turmeric and cayenne pepper, when mixed in water, also have capsaicin, which you can also research the benefits for on ChatGPT or Gemini or Google for that matter. And it'll give you all the health benefits to those things. And these are all natural. So, being that this is for educational purposes, and I'm hoping that you take the educational path in, well, researching everything. There's a jet ski over there if you hear it. But you'll learn, and you'll also avoid a lot more bills than what you need to actually have. Last point, the use of multitasks. So remember, I mentioned enhanced workouts, so, and things like that, and I even talked about making sure that you use either compound movements or do something like functional fitness. That's why I like shoulder press over a bench press, right? Not only does it work my range of motion, but it also helps me stay in shape because I also had surgery in my shoulder. So let's just say sometimes it hurts. I just ignore it and I push through and I keep going. But I'm able to continue with what I learned in physical therapy after my surgery. And it's also functional because let's say I have, I want to play with my nephew. I could take him and play and bring him up and down, which is essentially a shoulder press, depending on how you maneuver the dumbbells, right? So, or you can do an Arnold press, where I'm pretty sure is where you curl and then push and twist outward and push up. That would be the same action as picking a kid up off the ground or picking a box up off the ground or a chair and having it to bring it up and lift it. And that gives me strength there. Whereas a bench press in this fashion, how often are you going to do that in comparison to other things, right? You may push something, but if you're able to do it this way, remember, uh, your body is only as good as you train it, right? So if you know you're going to do certain movements a lot, why not train for it so it doesn't affect you and you could be more efficient later? And you could do it based off of muscle memory instead of always trying to put forth effort, and then you feel more tired at the end of the day when you could have had more energy to do other things. And then, of course, compound exercises. Bench press is great for this, so on and so forth, because of the fact it works out your shoulders, your chest, and your triceps. Maximum output of calorie burn because you're working more than just one muscle group or muscle, right? You're not just working the pectorals, you're working the shoulders, you're working the deltoids, you're working, your traps, so on and so forth. Squats, you have your lower lumbar, right? Where your L something is, right? You have your L and then you have your vertebrae, whatever the case may be, right? And so this is for the doctors that are watching this, right? I'm pretty sure when you see a spine, your lower lumbar, I'm pretty sure has the letter L and then a number attached to the vertebrae, which is why I was referencing that. But that cluster, that area normally is what hurts people later in life when they start lifting anything over a certain amount of weight, which is why when people that go into blue collar fields get asked, can you at least lift at least, let's say 50 or 75 pounds without assistance? That's what I'm referring to. So deadlifts combined with squats back to back assists with that, so on and so forth. And that's a compound and functional exercise in both manners because your deadlifts will focus, on legs again, mainly hamstrings, not so much quads, depending on how you do it, your lower lumbar, or I should say your lumbar, and then your upper back if you're bent over grabbing the weight, then to stand up straight along with your grip, maximum calorie output. So Then, of course, if you add the cardio in there, that's icing on the cake. And now you have extreme output and you have an afterburn effect that takes place because it takes a while for your body to come down from performing that high. And because of that, you continue to burn calories afterwards. So, while you're on your pursuit of freedom and you're getting in shape and becoming healthy, remember that the recovery process is extremely important. So, yes, drink water, a lot of it. And if you're like, I don't like to drink water, remember the electrolyte packets that they sell at Walmart, which is like $4 or less. And then from there, remember for every shot of alcohol or 1 ounce shot of alcohol that you consume, if you are on the road or somewhere, to stay hydrated, you need at least 8 to 12 ounces of water. So for every 1 shot, you need to drink at least 8 to 10 or sometimes 12 ounces of water to replace what that shot just did to your body. Or a glass of wine, 2 beers, or yeah, it's like a glass and a half of wine or 2 beers. So keep that for wishing. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Oh, and by the way, don't forget to smash that like button and tell your friends to follow me. Till next time, my friends, take care. Mwah.